Hey, everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the worlds of pop culture and personal development. I am your host, Jennifer Snook, and I am so happy to have you here today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. Here is what's been going on in mine. So, last weekend, you guys, I was at brunch and I saw someone that looked familiar, right? Because before I became pop culture meets personal development, I was just all personal development. That truthfully is my passion. That is my jam. That is everything that I am, basically. And I was at brunch in Calabasas, and in walked someone that looked familiar. And all of a sudden, I kind of fixated. I'm like, is that who I think it is? Is that the person I'm thinking of? And lo and behold, it was. And everyone at my table is like, who the hell are you staring at? So I'm like, oh, that's so and so. He's in the personal development space and the leadership space and the whole personal development situation. And she goes, oh, so you want to talk to him? And I said, I just want to know if he is who he says he is. Because I really feel, especially in the light of everything that's happened with Jay Shetty, I really feel like it's important to just know that people are who they say they are. And I also think that it matters it matters that someone in that space has actually gone through situations that changed them intrinsically. I don't want to subscribe to thought leaders and personal development coaches that haven't actually gone through that personal transformation themselves. I don't want to subscribe to people that just say what they know sounds good, right? Because anybody can do that. And that's fake. That's not who you want to learn from. I mean, you want to learn from someone who has truthfully been transformed, and you can feel their magic, right? You can feel where their incentive came from. Oh, sorry, you guys. I forgot to introduce you to my little guy. Albie, say hello. This is my guy, Albie. I honestly, you guys, I meant to introduce him as soon as I opened, but clearly I got sidetracked. Anyway, here's my little Albie. He's bummed out because his dad is at the grocery store and he is absolutely addicted to his dad. Anyway, so let's get back to it. So because of that, all this stuff that's come out about Jay Shetty, that there's, questions about his, I wouldn't say authenticity, but just his story and his origin story. And so when I saw, and the guy I ended up that I saw in the restaurant that day was Lewis Howes, right? So I introduce myself and I basically just say I'm in the same space and I want to know your origin story, right? Because my origin story, I know my origin story and I know my own personal transformation. And I know that I went from 40 years of living under a blanket of just absolute despair and feeling like every day was just such a struggle. And for 40 years, I lived in a space that was just so dark and so confusing, and every day felt hard, quite frankly. It just felt hard. And I almost didn't make it out of that. But then once I had that personal orgasm that I talk about, when I aligned myself with my light and my own personal path, it changed everything. So I wanted to hear from him, his story. So basically, I just said, hey, I'm in the same space. I'm basically just trying to weed out the fakes. I want to know your story. And he gave me his story. And I have to say that it was a beautiful one. And I thought that he was so authentic and so legit. And he was nothing but wonderful. So I was just so very, just happy to hear that. Um, and so we gave each other a hug and said goodbye and went on our way. But so I had an experience with Lewis that was great, and he seems like a really authentic guy, and that's all you can really want from someone you know that is preaching leadership and trying to teach you how to live your life the way you want to live it. So that was that, but that was hilarious. I was just so hilarious right off the back of that Jay Shetty stuff, running into Lewis Howes. And then Easter happened. I had a wonderful Easter weekend. My ex-husband came into town with his wife. We went to dinner, had a great time. My daughter flew in to surprise me, like I told you guys on the last pod. And everything was, I mean, absolutely fabulous, except for the fact that my Ryan wasn't there. My youngest is living in Brooklyn, and she stayed there for the holiday. Brooklyn, or New York, I should say, where men are what? Walking up and hitting women in the face. What is happening? What is happening to our world? It is just, I mean, it is just, that is a symptom, I feel, of a much bigger problem, and how we're all just kind of not living in alignment with the light, and everyone is just really in such a negative space because of all of the division that has been happening in the world. And I feel like for so long everyone was leaning into a more peaceful place, and then suddenly it's like somebody rips the band-aid off, and it's like, no, let's just go in the complete opposite direction. And now here we are. And now I sit here and wonder if my daughter is going to have a broken jaw, while she's walking home from work. So ridiculous. I mean, truthfully, what kind of world are we living in? Let me ask you this. Is it one where In-N-Out has a secret chicken sandwich on their secret menu? I would like to know. And my girl Christy, who is about to join us for Hello Caller, posed that question to me the other day. And actually, let's get Christy on the line and find out. Okay, here we go. Let's call our girl.
Okay. I had to press her.
Here's
Hi.
Hi. I had to tell everybody about what you asked me the other day. I just posed the question to everyone. Is there a chicken sandwich on the secret menu?
Yeah, is there? Or we don't know.
I have to be honest, I didn't get your text about it until after I was home. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that someone was eating a double chicken sandwich.
So you
a
have
deep
visual
fried.
evidence?
Yeah, a deep fried chicken sandwich at In-N-Out Burger. So
Oh my God.
we got to find out.
Well, I'm really surprised by that, because I sat there last night in the line thinking I swear to God, before I got your message, I was sitting there thinking they have such limited space. You know, at least this one on Ventura Boulevard right here where I am, it is teeny weeny. And I wouldn't even know. I sat there thinking, where would they even cook a chicken sandwich? You know what I mean?
Maybe they have a deep fryer for it since it's deep fried. So all of them are small, right? They're all the same
footprint
size, I think. So I can't wait to find out.
I drove by that one last night. I was in that line at 8 o'clock last night. There must have been, swear to you, 18 cars in the line.
Oh yeah.
8 o'clock at
It's a
night.
gold mine.
It's at 8 o'clock at night. However, I will say, once in a blue fucking moon, you'll drive by, it'll be empty. And every single time it does, I'm like, somebody take a picture. Because it never.
And remember when we grew up in Gilroy, the only time you can get it is when you went down south.
Well, truthfully, I didn't have an In-N-Out burger until hey, where are you going? Hey, Chris, look who's here with me. Come here, you monkey.
LV!
He's like, I don't have time for this. Look at him. He's just like looking out the window. When's my dad coming home? So in love with his dad. It's ridiculous. But yeah, do you know, I didn't have an In-N-Out burger until they came to Gilroy, to be honest. I was never a burger girl. Do you think honestly, like I was never a burger girl, but now
I would drive to Carl's Jr. to get the double Western bacon cheeseburger in Morgan Hill.
I've never had one of those in my life.
Oh God,
I've never had one of those in my life.
Sorry, vegetarians.
I'm not a vegetarian, but I was never.
They're delicious. There's an onion ring in it and barbecue sauce, and you burp it up all day.
Can I tell you this? I knew that I was pregnant with Taylor because I wanted to go to McDonald's. I mean, I didn't know that, but I always, who Carla was with me. We're getting very personal now. Carla was with me and I said, let's go to McDonald's. And I remember her going, you don't go to McDonald's. What are you talking about? Like, and
Right.
I never went to McDonald's, but I was craving McDonald's. You know the way it happens. That's
Yeah.
me. Look at this guy. He's like, what about me?
Yeah, little lover.
I know he's the lover. Anyway, Boo, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm going
I,
to bingo tonight at the country club, so I'm excited. So I
which
got
country club?
Almaden, where your mom grew
Where
up.
my mom grew up. Do you know I could take you to my grandparents' house if you are about to go up the driveway up at the very top of Crown Boulevard, right? Right as you pull up, before you go left there, and then you hang a left, that's Calle Ventura, and my grandparents' house was the first one on the right.
Oh my God. I'm going to go that way and I'll take a video
I
and
think
you can.
I think it's 1182 Calle Ventura.
1182. Okay. I
I
don't have
think
a
that it's
pencil.
the
I'll
first house.
text you.
It's the first house on the right on Calle Ventura.
Got it.
You can't miss it. I mean, that was my whole childhood. And when I moved to Gilroy and met you, and I remember you said that you were from San Jose,
Yes.
I said that was like my very first bonding thing with you. I'm like, oh my God, and we're from the same place. That was where I was talking about. And my first house that I lived in was directly across the street from the firehouse that is across the street from Simon's
Simon.
School. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's where I
Dwyer
live by
Avenue.
there.
That was where I called my grandmother after one time my Gami, what we called her Gami. She said, Jenny, when things get crazy with your mom and daddy, you call me. She was Brazilian and she had this very thick accent. Jenny, and so I remember when she said this to me thinking, oh, thank God, right? Because I had been navigating their insanity on my own. I didn't have anyone to talk to, and
You're
suddenly
the
my
oldest.
sister was like, you know, my ally. Hey, if you need me, you can call me. So I remember things started popping off with my mom and dad, and and I and I called my grandma, right? And so she tells me, "Oh, I'm coming over. I'm coming over. And so I sat there thinking, "Okay, great. They're coming over. This is going to end." And and I'll never forget, the doorbell rang, my dad opened it, and it was my uncle. She brought my uncle with her.
He's
And
no dummy.
and my dad pulled his arm back and he punched my uncle, and I watched my uncle go like a tree.
Your mom's
Yeah.
brother?
And I'm like, well, I guess that wasn't going to work.
Oh my God. Oh my God. The shit we had to, I mean, things that we grew up with and just life.
I mean, that was my truthfully, that was we are really getting off topic right now. That is my second memory. My very first memory is before we lived in that house, we lived in New Almaden, out in a cherry orchard. Our friends owned this property and we rented a house on this property. They lived in the main house. We lived in this little rental that was next door. And my mom and dad got into a knockdown drag out that was so insane. And I was probably, I don't know, 4 maybe. And my mom told me to go run to their house. And I remember running to their house, knocking on their back porch, and saying, my mom needs help or whatever. But it was like
Oh my God.
full drama from the get.
Right. Oh my
Full
God.
drama from the get. I mean,
Right.
like a made for TV movie.
Yeah. Look
Anyway,
at us now.
and so here we are. And that's why we're so fucking, well adjusted.
Right.
Call it that.
The things we've seen.
So let's get into the things that we're seeing on the things that we are seeing. Here's what I know that you know about that I don't fully understand, because I just don't understand the intricacies that have played into it. But what is the situation with Jeff Lewis? I know the Jeff Lewis, Heather McDonald earring debacle. I know that. I know this also. I know that I have historically loved Jeff Lewis. I have historically loved Heather McDonald. I think they are both hilarious in their own rights. I fully understand their friendship. I get the whole thing. Explain to me the Julie and
Brandy.
Brandy. That's right. The Julie
Do
and
you remember who they are? Do you know who they are?
yes, they were on Bravo.
The People's Couch, and
People's
they
Cup.
would
Yes, yes,
recap
100%.
shows, and
Yes.
I
Are they
love
a
them.
couple?
No, no, people think they are. They're just friends.
Yeah, I've wondered
Um,
that. They could be. Yeah.
yeah,
So they're
Julie's
friends.
married to a
Okay.
man,
Yeah, yeah.
and Brandy's a lesbian, and they're amazing. But they do everything together.
I love it.
So what's happened is, so I listen to Jeff Lewis every day, the podcast. And if you listen to Jeff Lewis, you call yourself a chump.
Right.
And uh and
Which I just found out because I listen
came from
occasionally too, came from Shannon Bedore's husband, David.
who called Jeff a chump in a pissed off email. And of course they took it as a joke and said, we're chumps.
Right.
So now there's people come up to him everywhere.
Fire. Totally.
Yeah. So Jeff has his podcast, and he just was starting to expand it to an after show, and Julie and Brandy were hired to do the show. Well, they told Julie and Brandy they can only have a guest on for 20 minutes, and that's it.
You know what it's like.
Yeah, right? And once we start looking, we've already probably talked 12 minutes and we haven't even started. So Megan, who works for Jeff and is one of his good friends, it was her birthday, and she was on the show, the after show with Julie and Brandy. Well, they said at the 20-minute mark, oh, it's 20 minutes, but it's your birthday, let's go over. And they did.
Oh my God, this is feeling so familiar.
And they got reprimanded. So
by who?
So they work for Sirius, not for Jeff, right?
So they did not get reprimanded by Jeff. They got reprimanded by Sirius.
Yeah, that you can't do that. And they said, well, have your, they're not in charge. They're just doing the show. They don't want to do the timer. Have your assistant, Alyssa, come in and be the person. Right. So that happened. And then they apologized. And then Jeff got involved, and they had to apologize for a lot of things, but it ended up the channel didn't work anymore because they didn't want to do the Julie and Brandy show. They said no more people on the show, then it's just both of you. And they're like, we didn't sign up for this, right? They have their own podcast. So
their own podcasts.
Yeah.
So it would be like the two of them who already have their own podcasts doing a separate podcast.
Yeah, and they don't need that. They already have one. They want to talk to people, and they don't need this. Right. So then so they're like, we don't want to do this, and they're not getting paid $1 gazillion. So anyway, so then Jeff gets involved. He's mad. They apologize, and the
Who's
channel
Jeff mad at?
Them. He's taking
for going over the time.
Right. Also, and getting into, he's on Sirius's side, and they're like, we're sorry, we didn't really do anything. Right.
But Sirius writes his check.
Yeah. And so Tim Johnson, I think, is the head of Sirius. He gets involved and starts sending them messages. And basically the channel's canceled. And so now fast forward to when Heather and Jeff are fighting, Julie and Brandy, they were friends with Heather. They all became really close because they're bonding over Jeff being an asshole to them. Right. So now they just all went to Luann's show in LA. And Heather got tickets, and the only place that Heather can sit with Julie and Brandy is, here's Jeff Lewis.
I saw the picture.
Here's Heather Dubrow.
And I was like, when I saw the picture without any context, and I was like, that must be an old picture. And then all of a sudden I saw it again with more context. I'm like, fuck, that's not an old picture. That just happened.
It was new. And
Yes.
Heather had been talking about on her podcast that, you know, it's been too much energy and whatever. She may be nice with Jeff, nice, but put him in a bracket separate than he was.
Right.
But Julie and Brandy walk in, they like to drink, they like to have fun, and they see him and they're like, Jeff Lewis. So they go on their podcast and talk about how when they walked in, their point of view. Jeff talked about his on his show. Now,
oh, did he? Jeff, I didn't hear him talk about that.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he didn't. Heather did. Heather talked about it. Her point of view. Jeff didn't, because I know he wants to make good with Heather.
Did
So,
oh, do you think so?
but, oh yeah, he does. But what he
I
did
heard
talk
him
about
say that he thought that maybe they could have a talk and come to a good place, but then he found out that she put her thoughts behind a $20 Patreon and he wasn't cool with that.
before. Now she's okay, because he's saying that he's going to admit that he was in the wrong with going
About the earrings?
About the earrings and saying,
Oh,
I had
come on.
Oh yeah, he said that on his podcast a few weeks ago. But the main thing is, so Heather and Jeff are just little compared to what's happening with Julie and Brandy. Jeff went on his show, and after listening to Julie and Brandy's, he says, I am going to sue them for everything they have. He wants to take them down. And they're like,
for what?
For them talking about their side of going to Luann's show, calling him a quack and a hack, and saying what their side was. And so he really
what was their so what was their side? I didn't hear that part. So they said they walked in and what?
They just ignored him the whole time because they don't care. They're like, it's over. It's over and we don't care. So they went on their podcast and just talked about their side of what happened on Sirius XM. Well, he's pissed, and now he's saying that he's going to sue them for everything they have.
He must be afraid that they are a stain on him because of the way it went down. He's got to be afraid because he's getting a very hefty paycheck from Sirius XM. I mean, truthfully, I think his deal with Sirius XM, I mean, Jeff doesn't need to do design anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like he's in a really good position, and he probably is just terrified that.
Well, he has his show, Hollywood House Lift also.
Yeah, he has that, but I think that his Jeff Lewis Live is such a hit, and so, you know what I mean?
It's enough.
Filling his pockets, that if everything else went away, he'd be okay if he just kept Jeff Lewis Live. And the fact that he brought them in and they went against the grain, he's like, fuck you, because he's probably thinking, that's my livelihood. Not that he's not overreacting, because clearly he is, because he can't be responsible for what they, ultimately he's not responsible for what they do. But
so it's a huge thing. And I was listening to the podcast yesterday of them. There's been them after the show, Jeff talking about them after the show, and now them talking about their side. And it's major. And I love Julie. I'm Julie and Brandy. I may not want to be a chump anymore and listen.
Well, I know. Well,
you got to choose sides sometimes on some things. Usually I'm Switzerland. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. I feel like I am Switzerland a lot, because if you really put yourself in people's shoes, you just kind of know, like, Jeff was probably just operating from fear. You know what I mean? Fear that he was going to get fucked over by Sirius because by association, you know what I mean? If you bring someone on that you trust and you're like, hey, I'm bringing you into my innermost circle and giving you this honored spot, then he would think, especially Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, he can do it.
Kind of a little bit need to know who you're dealing with going into it.
For sure. He's like a little bratty little brother who just pokes him. But listen to the podcast.
To dot the I's and cross the T's exactly the right way if you're representing him. and they are kind of representing him.
Yeah.
If
Well,
they're
I listen to the podcast. Listen to Brandy and
I'm not
Julie.
saying that he didn't overreact, because I mean, it's overreacting is in his DNA. That's just
Oh,
historically
exactly.
who he is.
Exactly.
And he eventually walks it back and says, maybe I overreacted,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. So that's what's happening in Jeff Lewis land. I'm very happy we got to talk about it because I love Jeff Lewis and Julie and Brandy and Heather. So
I was on YouTube, which I hardly ever I don't usually I post things there, but I don't really watch too much there. But do you know who is the Jeff Lewis super fan that has a
oh God, yes. The blonde lady.
yes, who
Is
I
it
don't know,
Christine from Texas or yeah,
something
she's got
someone from somewhere. And I
yeah.
think she used to be Jeff Lewis obsessed, which
Yeah, I think it still is.
which which
It
is
still is.
wrong title.
I follow her on Instagram and she goes live a lot.
Is she
She's
obsessed?
obsessed. She's
Yes,
obsessed and
she is obsessed.
yeah, she sees him. Sometimes she makes him mad and then she'll see him and make it right. But yeah, she's a wackadoo.
So she's created a relationship with him in person?
Oh yeah, she'll go to the shows and
Raise her hand. Hi,
yeah,
Jeff, it's me.
yeah, there she is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's funny. I wondered how obsessed she was. Okay, so let's oh gosh. Have you heard that Ariana's own brother is talking about her?
He got engaged, right? Also?
Got engaged, and the reason that he stopped talking to his sister is because his sister was being such a bitchola to his future wife that
Yeah.
he had to cut her out. And what's very telling is that he was saying that the things that she was doing were so like undercover that you wouldn't see him. Like that basically he was saying that Ariana's all smiles and little Miss Wonderful out on the outside, but that she was doing shit behind the scenes to really be a bitch to this woman that he's engaged to.
Huh. Well, I saw a video. He was at Sheena's house and Sheena's popping the champagne, congratulating both of them in her kitchen, in her new kitchen in the Valley.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. And I
Yeah,
did see
Sheena
that.
moved to the Valley. I just crack up every time in the Valley. They're like they show like the other day they showed Riverside Drive, and I'll be at Riverside Drive tomorrow getting an infusion. I mean, like I live on Riverside Drive. There's a million doctors on there. It's just like it's right
Yeah.
here. It's literally right here. It's hilarious.
And Lala just bought a house also for 3 million over there.
I just really hope that Vanderpump Rules doesn't end like tomorrow, because for those of them that are just making new
I
announcements, because
exactly. I
people
know.
I know truthfully people don't understand. LA is so expensive. It truthfully is so expensive. And like I was just reading an article the other day. This man, he's like, I make $250,000 a year, which around the country would be considered, in most places in the country, would be
Not enough.
a really decent income. He goes, not here. It's nothing. It's like peanuts.
Same.
And it's
Well, I'm
true.
in the Bay Area also. Same deal.
I mean, it's absolutely insane. So, and then people think Hollywood, but truthfully, these people don't make as much as people think, and the way they spend it,
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it
They think
doesn't
they're going to be
matter.
like this forever.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's so yeah, so they're going and buying $3 million houses, but it's very possible that if that show, has one season left, after that, everything could really easily dry up, and then they're fuckoled.
For sure. Well, they actually have two homes now because they're also buying in the
One in Palm Springs.
Palm Springs, where Heather
Yeah.
McDonald bought a house and Julie and Brandy are buying a house also. And Julie's mother's going to live in the house. So, Jeff, let them be.
So Jeff, let them be.
Yeah, I was riled
Let
up
them
yesterday.
find their peace in Palm Springs.
Peace in Palm Springs.
What about Jill on Below Deck? Did you watch Below Deck?
I did.
I gotta tell you, I was so excited to see when they said Jill Zarin was gonna be there. I was so excited just for the nostalgia of it. I was like, "Oh, great, Jill."
Of
And then
course.
the minute she opened her mouth, I'm like, "Oh, Jill."
So much.
I mean,
So
stop being so predictable. You know what? How about that? Stop being so predictable. Like, how about you just go, "You know what? Who gives a fuck? I'm on this incredible fucking yacht
as a guest, she
as
wasn't
a
even the
guest,
primary.
having this incredible experience." I mean, but she just can't help herself. She
Yeah,
has to be the
asking
boss.
asking for in every room there should be toothpaste, Tums, mouthwash, deodorant. They're like,
Yeah.
nobody asks for this.
Ibuprofen. I know.
Yeah.
Makeup wipes. It's like,
No, Jill was a lot. And I love the confessionals with Fraser and,
Fraser is hilarious.
love him.
It's
But yeah, she
cute.
was a little nightmare, which she is a nightmare. She wants what she wants, but she's Louise.
But how about not being so predictable? I don't understand why. Like, is it just like, how about break out of the mold? Is that all you ever want to be? The same person that complains about the same stuff all the
Yeah,
time?
and she will. Her and Bethany, they're the two peas in a
How
pod.
about you reinvent yourself and maybe it doesn't matter that much? How about you're the one that says, you know what? Let's just be grateful that we're here. Well,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you had a button under here, then we could just call you. I had one on my boat.
Yeah, because I haven't seen you out here to get me another Diet Coke in 2 minutes.
I know. Honestly, she's hard to watch. Almost
Yeah.
almost as hard to watch as Tori Spelling's husband Dean, who I have always had such a hard time with.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I've never understood it. I don't I mean, I'm not here to judge, but I'm just saying I haven't got it. But now she is saying out loud that she wished that she was divorced from him 15 years ago, and now I'm like, "Hallelujah, at least I wasn't the only one thinking it."
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, thank God she's figuring it out. And so I've been seeing them. Did she call? How did she? She's asking for a divorce, but did she do
She
it in an
called
email?
him on the premiere of her podcast. She called him.
Yeah.
Yes. And said that that's it. You're being served or whatever. And but I mean, that poor girl, I feel like she just had to stay in it. You know what I mean? When you
Uh,
have
well,
you
there's so
know,
many kids.
so many kids. I mean, she just kept having the kids. I don't know. I think everybody knows that kids definitely don't strengthen a marriage. Each kid is only going to be another stress. I mean, they don't make
Exactly.
they don't make things easier. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry. They don't. And then you had the whole Candy spelling of it all, and she is not a fan of Dean. I mean, but
No.
I think Dean is I think Dean's I think Dean's just a messed up guy, and I think that he has been, drowning his sorrows in alcohol, and I think Tori has been just trying to keep it all together in the face of adversity with public perception. It's got to be hard for her. I mean, she's really grown up in a fishbowl.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think more than almost you have so many celebrities and they think they're in a fishbowl, but then you take Tori Spelling, who has been in it for her entire life and in such a huge way, and the fact that she was so screwed over by her dad's estate and everybody's eyes have been on her. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It it
Yeah.
it,
She used to be on Jeff Lewis a lot too.
did they have a falling out?
I don't think so. I don't think so. She just, she's getting a divorce now.
She's busy with her 12
She's
kids.
planning the divorce.
Well, and she has her own podcast now, right?
Good. Yeah, I heard it. I saw it was something.
Notorious, or is that what it's called, or something like
Oh, I
that?
like it. No, I don't know. I don't
So
know that.
cute. So cute. So I woke up this morning and the first thing that I saw was the fact that Dorit was trending on Twitter. I mean, X.
I Give me a break. It's like, oh, look at us, two twins.
Fucking trending on Twitter because she's smoking a cigarette.
I mean, and if I were to smoke a cigarette, I would smoke a real cigarette. If I were to smoke a joint, I would smoke a real joint. I don't vape. Wouldn't do any of that shit. Give us a fucking break. Well, she's British, right? Isn't that the British thing to do?
She is not British. She's from.
I know. I'm teasing.
She is from she's from back east somewhere.
She's from exactly yeah. No.
Delaware, or where the hell is she from?
Yeah,
Somewhere back there.
So yeah, so she's a British, with her fake accent. So she was at the equestrian center walking around.
This is my favorite. This I don't give a fuck Dorit is my favorite Dorit. This baggy jeans, a ripped up sweater.
A ripped up Prada sweater.
But truthfully, I love this story.
She's never looked better. Her hair is amazing.
Her hair looks amazing. Her skin looks amazing. And it feels so much more authentic than everything being so pre-planned and a look. I can't take everything being a look. Because then if everything's a look, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, well, I like it. She does good with her looks.
I love the looks, but I don't want it to always be such a look that I never see you.
Right. Chill. You know
what I mean? And I feel like this last season is the first season that I've really seen Dorit.
Yeah. I mean, the robbery may have changed her, right? It did change her. It's what she's been talking about. So the robbery changed her.
Yep. 100%. So moving over now, we are officially falling into our reality check, and we are going to talk about
Vanderpump,
the dog murderer.
This was an explosive episode.
And can I just tell you, for the sake of Ariana, truthfully, I am so glad that Dancing with the Stars aired when it did and not after this, because sorry to say, I do not think she would have had the reception that she had on Dancing with the Stars if this episode had already aired. I just don't. I don't think this bodes well for her. I would have not voted for her if I had seen this version of her. I wouldn't have.
I love it. I love her being pissed off. I mean, good God.
Well, okay. She can be pissed off, but
this is only 2 months after. When was
4 months? 4 months. It's 4 months after. And why is she not pissed off at herself for staying with someone for so long? That relationship was long over, long before this affair happened. That's why the affair happened. The affair happened because their relationship was dead. It was fucking dead a long time ago.
But he cheated and lied and was dirty. He did her wrong.
He did her wrong. Yes, he fucking did her wrong.
And he lied to everybody. And he
was lying to herself before that, though.
I think she has her. I love her yelling at him and being pissed off. He dressed up like Raquel for Halloween.
I know.
What an asshole.
I think he was in love with Raquel.
Oh, I know. You see him crying.
In love with Raquel.
Yeah.
I know that I know no one wants to hear that, but he was. Truthfully, in my heart, I think Tom is a romantic. I think had Ariana said yes years ago, I think they would have been living in a white picket fence. I think he wanted to marry her. And I think that when he wanted to marry her, he was fucking 100% legit. And she kept him here at a distance so much. And then their relationship started to fall apart I think they were both kind of under the cloud of the show. And I think that was a whole different energy that they were like, you know what I mean? I think sometimes your life gets hijacked by things that matter more than they really should. And I think the show was that for them. And I think that had they both really kind of delved into their own spirits and their own truths and had to be honest, I think it maybe would have been different. I think, but they were kind of
And
under
nice.
the cloud of Vanderpump Rules and kind of in that persona. And I think everybody else was so affected because they were the mom and dad of the group. That was the foundation. They all always went there. That's where they gathered. And now they're going to James's house. Now that's where they gather. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's a shame because Tom is getting so hard pressed for what he did, and I know that 100% what he did was completely fucked up and he should have handled it differently. But I think they both should have handled things differently a long time ago. And I think Ariana ultimately just got embarrassed. I think that's what it is, and I just think she got embarrassed. And I hope to God that that the day will come that they'll be able to look back on this whole thing and I think
When
I think Tom was trying to do that, but she's just not ready. And I get
she,
that.
yeah, she's not ready at all. Well, she did just buy a home in the Hollywood Hills for 1.6 million, which I'm
Yes.
sure is nicer than the Valley. The Valleys have yards.
Yes. And
So at least
she'll have
she's
her
out.
space. And now I wonder if they're going to do the split custody like Schwartz and Katie do with their animals. I feel like
I think it's a cat. They have a cat, but she's
they have
saying,
a cat. I feel like Tom Sandoval might sign over
because she
guardianship.
paid for the adoption. She paid for the adoption fees, so it's her cat.
Yes. What about okay, and then what about Anne? What do you think about the whole thing with Anne?
Oh, and coming to be Ariana's assistant.
Yeah.
I
I mean the
I
whole
think Ariana's doing it to be a little sticking it to Tom a little bit also.
I just feel like at this point Ariana is just being difficult for the sake of being difficult.
Right. Because she's angry and she's living in pissed off land, right? And so
Anne wants to work for Ariana. I mean, truthfully, the gig she had with Tom wasn't bad, is even though Ariana wants to talk about how dirty Tom is or whatever he does it. But Ariana, I've never seen anyone filthier than Ariana every time we see her room.
Yeah, so I wonder also, is it because that she never really unpacked, or she's packing because she's gonna be moving, or I think they were both slobs.
I think they were both slobs and just got very comfortable having people clean up for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because all the food, they both left out food. All that food in the kitchen the dog could have ate after his party.
Well, also this whole narrative, the fact that Ariana didn't know that the air conditioning needed to be worked on. It's not like Tom was peeping in her room as he was just poking around.
Right.
I mean,
they needed the air on because it's hot as summertime.
So
hot.
they needed to go in there. God knows what it's like. I mean, when it's 112 in the valley and you need the fucking air on and the air conditioner guy shows up and he needs to check the vent in that room, what are you going to say? Sorry, I can't go in there.
And where is Ariana? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and can you call Ariana? I mean, this whole Anne situation it's too much. What about finding out that Katie
was slept with Max?
Hooked up with Max.
And we found out because Sheena follows 51 people's where they are on their location.
Follows them on their location. Like, that's weird. That's
it's too much.
I will say it's hilarious and it gave us some good TV and we would not have known otherwise.
I mean, she's always thought Max was cute, and I don't think she was doing a little to get back at Tom, but I also think she's just doing it. Tom and Katie are still in a fucking relationship. It's like,
I mean, it is. They really are, because I think Tom can't break loose of. I think he feels he's internalized some shame. You know what I mean? I think people that internalize shame and like you did something wrong and you fuck something up, until you let that go, you kind of have some weird strings with someone. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
she still winds that cord every time she gets the chance.
exactly. Their
Every,
interaction.
she hasn't let it go.
No, of course not.
She hasn't let it go. She throws it in his face every opportunity she can.
Yeah, they're addicted to each other. You know, it's an addiction thing. But they were very those outfits.
I think she's addicted to being right. I think Katie is addicted to always being the one that is getting everything right, and I do think that that is exactly why Tom Schwartz was so excited. When did you see him this episode when he goes, Katie fucked up too, or what did he say?
Yeah,
Something like that. Hey, Katie's not perfect. Katie fucked up too, and it feels really good to say it.
right. And he says, and I think it brought us closer together.
And I think it brought us closer because I think it truly does. It humanizes Katie. You know what I mean? Like, and if for him, he's probably hoping that she can see that, you know what I mean? That just because you do something that maybe isn't perfect, it doesn't mean that, you know, you're a
horrible person.
or or that you should be vilified for it.
Yeah, they had a cute little thing in the backyard.
I thought that was the cutest thing that I had seen in a long time. Truthfully, like that.
Katie smiling.
Truthfully, that was like the most I've ever enjoyed Katie. Truthfully, in maybe ever.
And their clothing choices. He's dressed like he's the Keebler elf, and she's wearing.
I thought he looked like Elf, like the movie Elf. Like what's his name in Elf? Right?
Exactly.
Like from the waist up, I'm like, what is it? Christmas?
What are you wearing? Yeah, and her too. She's wearing a bikini.
Yes, exactly. It was like a beach cover up or something.
Yeah,
and he goes, "This is the look. What are you wearing?"
Exactly. I liked that. So,
I know. It was so sweet to see them find that footing, and I hope that they can like grow in that. I mean, but the only way that they're going to be able to is if she starts looking at him in a different way.
Yeah.
Instead of like she's never done anything but I think try to just focus on his fuck ups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hopefully she can find some humanity in her ex-husband and realize why she ever liked him to begin with. You know what I mean? Because before you fall in love with someone and have a big commitment with someone, it would be good to think that you actually like them. And if they can find that place where they actually, you know, can find some common ground. So otherwise, what's the show going to be? Everyone just hating each other?
It's really getting
dark.
Like after watching it, it's too much. It's not even fun anymore, you know?
Too much. Yeah. It's just like,
too much. And I could see it when you were saying, I hope it doesn't get canceled. I almost said, well, I hope it does because I'm kind of over it. What else could we watch? I mean, do we have to watch Ariana yell at him the whole season?
That is exactly why growth is so important in a show and in your personal life. Because if not, you just get stuck. And nobody wants to watch a show where people are just stuck.
Yeah, there's not much. There's not much.
That's why you have to be more like Schwartzy. You just show up to a place, take a plant, and if you take a plant, you take a plant everywhere you show up, just kind of like a beautiful little bridge that you build. But like Schwartz does, he lets shit go. You know what I mean? The happiest people let shit go.
Yeah, I think
when you don't let shit go, it just piles, and you just get more and more fucking miserable.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that was last night or whenever it was the first time I thought, where else can we keep going with this?
The fact that even Ariana's trying to call him a dog murderer. The dog murderer.
Well,
the dog
murderer. Well, she hates him, you know, and he's just poor guy. The pizza gets delivered and they want ranch, so he runs out
and she gets some shit for it.
To chase the guy to get the ranch dressing for the girls. He's trying, and now Ariana's like, fuck him. Everything you do, fuck you.
I tell you, listen to him breathe. Ew, gross. Oh, he's alive, gross.
Yeah, well, I've been cheated on, so I know what that feels like when you're just like, you know, it's a horrible thing. Horrible. So
everybody, truthfully, hasn't everyone been cheated on at some point in their life? And
Yeah.
especially everyone on that show.
Oh
And
God, they've
the
all
thing is,
cheated with
maybe
that.
it wasn't maybe with their best friend, or I don't even think they were best friends, but whatever. Like maybe it
Right.
wasn't with a close friend. But everybody's been cheated on. It's part of life. Truthfully, people think that that's not supposed to happen. That shit's part of the process. That's shit
Right.
supposed to happen to all of us so we can learn what it feels like. It's part of understanding your own humanity. Having things done to you helps you gain empathy for a situation like that. You know what I mean? It's like,
She'll get through it. She's moved out, and that's huge. So
yeah.
we'll
Well, she said
see.
on the after show, do you ever watch the after show?
I don't, but I want to,
It's where
because
really all
especially
the
the
real
Juicy
shit it's where really all the real shit goes down, and
and
she said
Brock with his high heels. Brock wears high heels. I saw a picture yesterday. My best friend sent it to me. Brock is wearing high heel boots this high. And I went, I love him. I need to, but anyway, sorry.
personally, I think he's the greatest thing on this show. I think he's the
He's,
greatest thing that ever happened to Sheena.
yeah.
Also, though, I heard Ariana on the show say, well, she was like, once again, talking shit about Tom, and she goes, well, like, I don't know what he's done. I have done this, and now I'm on Broadway. I came in third on Dancing with the Stars, and she was like building herself up, which is great. But in the next breath,
Yeah.
it happened if this hadn't happened.
Oh yeah. And now
Right?
she's going to be the host of Love Island.
And yeah, none of
Yeah.
this would have happened. None
Yeah.
of this would have happened. So it is, I mean, it's like sometimes the most beautiful days start on the shittiest of roads. Sometimes, what you think is hell, and I know it's hard to wrap your head around, but you have to appreciate it. Or because, I mean, well, she wouldn't be there.
Right.
Would she rather go back to life with Tom the way it was?
No. She's all right.
I would like someone to ask her that. Would you, if given what you know now, would you like to go back with Tom the way it was? Exactly the way it was. Exactly. Because, sorry, I just don't think that had things been right with them, that it ever would have happened to begin with.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Well, hopefully you can ask a question on the after show or on Watch What Happens.
Also, I gotta say, it really annoyed me when Schwartzy went over to Sheena and Brock's and took a plant, and they were
And
sitting.
the big hat for Summer Moon.
Yes, exactly. And they were talking about the situation, and I think Brock said something like, well, did you see her? She got so crazy upset, and Sheena goes, because of him. And I sat there thinking, no, he didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, she got upset just because she got upset. She didn't have to react to him like that. Truthfully, I think Ariana would look so much. I know she is where she is, but I just thought it was a lot for the way Sheena said that she got upset. She got
Because
upset because of him. Like, you saw that reaction. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything at that house when they were having pizza. He didn't. She just fucking went off the rails. Same way she went off the rails at the beach. He didn't do anything. You think
well, it's his physical.
it's his physical, yes, it's his physical presence. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, that was my point. Like with Sheena, like, he didn't do anything. She is just that hypersensitive.
And Ariana thinks that people should start sticking up for her, but they're moving past it. Everybody was angry at him at the reunion. Now they're moving to where they're not in it anymore. She
Right.
is, of course.
Right.
So,
But only because she's choosing to be. She could start to move through it too. She's in a new relationship.
yeah. Well, I mean, now, she's doing it. That's all you can't, she's doing it.
All right. Let's move on over to the Valley. Hi, honey. That's what, hi, honey.
Hi, Yes.
I love it. I love Jax's little girl. I love her.
I don't know. I did too, but I don't know. She sticks up for him, which I know. She says, "I stick up for the people I love," but thank
I
God
know.
she's finally.
I love the accent and I love her heart. I think she's an angel incarnate. I really do, little Miss Brittany. But I'm just saying, I love her fucking accent,
Yeah,
darling.
yeah,
Oh,
same.
hi, darling. I feel like it's
But
gotten
her,
thicker. I feel like the accent's gotten thicker.
or maybe because we haven't seen them for a while.
That very well could be it. So, did you watch this episode?
I
I
love better than Vanderpump Rules. I can't even believe I'm saying that.
truthfully, I did not think that I was gonna like it, and I am fully invested.
And I
And
love
I
it.
have to say, this is so hard to say. As much as he's an asshole, Jax makes great TV.
Well, yeah, and
He
I
does.
think he's a little much too, but he's such an asshole. Hey, he's such an
He's
asshole.
such an asshole, but he makes great TV.
Yeah.
He genuinely does. So, okay, so Kristen, she 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 said what she said and threw that shit out about the racist comment.
She didn't throw it out. Brittany made her talk about it because Brittany said, when they were having the girls' night out, Kristen was upset saying, "How can Jax invite my ex-boyfriend to the guys' night out with Luke there?" And then Brittany said, "Well, what about you talking about what you're talking about?" So then
Right.
Kristen say that she was talking about the Republican racist, Michelle, that they're saying that Michelle is a racist.
Right. The whole thing, I'm like, wait, who's saying what about who? But it was a heavy duty game of telephone.
Right. And then the real thing was Janet told Jasmine, Jasmine told Zach, Zach told Kristen, and
Right.
Zach knew Kristen would bring it out because that's what
Exactly.
he does.
Yes. And she does. But the real, so did we find out about, was there, did who said what? Do we know who actually said what?
So was it that Janet was it? You mean how it started?
I mean, was there an actual seed? Did someone
Oh,
actually say something?
Michelle was talking about the gay community and something about children and that it's not a good thing, something about that. And then Janet, it's still, there's so much of this.
There's so
There's a lot
yeah,
of,
there's so much this.
there's so many people involved.
like
So
what I'm trying
what
to
I
get to the root of it.
think it was is that Janet thought this is an opportunity for Jasmine, who is in the gay community, to teach Michelle. So I don't know, something there's, but yeah. So Michelle's being accused of being a Republican racist.
Which, let's face it, they do not go hand in hand. Just because you're a Republican, it does not make you a racist.
Right, and she's
That is
saying,
a that is a
"Well,
fact.
I'm a Mexican uh and a Persian." Okay,
Right.
that doesn't mean anything either. But
Right. But it does mean that if your mom is Mexican and your dad is first generation Persian or whatever it was, that
things that she had to put up with.
yeah, I mean, you've probably been through the experience where you wouldn't be a racist because people have probably been racist to you. But I mean, honestly, truthfully, there are people who have had people be racist to them who are racist then to others. It
Yeah,
truthfully doesn't exclude you. And racism is one of those things that transcends every community because it's truthfully rooted in the human spirit and race. That's why racism is worldwide, and it's really a spiritual thing, and it's about how one person always wants to feel superior to another person,
right.
another race, or That's why there's racism within communities, within the Black community, there's even racism it shows up everywhere. In I know in my grandparents' Portuguese community, there was racism within that community. It's everywhere. And it's truthfully rooted in the human spirits and in the ego. It's ego. Racism is all
So
ego rooted. Yeah,
right.
it truthfully is. So anyway, but then the whole thing came out at that dinner at that beautiful house. And
Yeah.
what about Jesse slamming his hand on the table? He is too much, that dude. He is.
Let Michelle speak.
I know. And then the
And
hand, he gives her the hand.
yeah, it's it's big. This is a major thing that's going to keep going on for a lot of episodes, I
Yeah,
feel.
exactly. But truthfully, this show kind of needed something like that, and then people will follow it.
Right. And
You know what I mean?
Janet was saying that she thinks that Kristen called Janet, threw Janet under the bus. You remember? Because she was saying,
Right.
"Oh, I heard Janet."
Right.
Janet thinks that Kristen has thrown her under the bus because she said when Kristen was dating, what's the ex-boyfriend? Alex.
Alex.
She said, I had to put my boundaries up to Kristen because it was very toxic.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't think Kristen liked that. So
Right.
I think she's trying to get back at me.
Well, I think that there's a lot of truth in what she said, because I know for a fact that I'm sure Kristen was saying a lot of things to her about her relationship with Alex that suddenly changed once she was in this new relationship, and her friends got to see the inner workings of her relationship with Alex. So now they're like, "Excuse me, I was there. I remember that." You know what I mean?
But also Kristen, it's like once you get in a relationship with somebody that's nice and not, you don't, maybe you don't fight or trigger each other with this. She was like, shit, look where I was.
Right.
But when she's in it, she's like,
totally. And
he's
that's
a narcissist. He's a terrible person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know. Looking back on it all, Kristen is calling herself Truth Serum because she said, "I'm just the Truth Serum."
And they showed all the clips from her on Vanderpump when she gives the truth, or I mean, not when you slept with Jax, though.
Her version of the truth.
Exactly.
But what about Jesse saying to her, "You got thrown off the show for being an actual racist"?
That was
heavy. That was heavy.
Yeah.
I do not think that Kristen is a racist. I do not in any way, shape, or form think that Kristen is a racist. I think that
wants to say something about that nowadays.
Yeah, I think she got caught up in everything that was happening at that time. And, we've all done and said a million things that any one person could look at and call totally inappropriate. And
of course,
that doesn't mean that that was your intentions. And I don't give a fuck if anybody says intentions do fucking matter. They do matter.
Exactly. We're just cancel culture right now.
Sorry, intentions do fucking matter. 100%.
Right.
So now I am intending on moving over to Potomac, part 1 of the reunion, which I know you are not very much into. But
I did learn, though, from listening to your podcast last week about someone.
They start this reunion talking about sex. The whole thing is about sex. They're talking about blowjobs specifically. And then they're talking about, this is horrible, but they're talking about swallowing. They're talking about swallowing, and Robin goes, I'm great at it. And then this one girl, Ashley, goes, well, you just hold it in your mouth until they fall asleep. And I'm like, hold it in their mouth until they fall
Ashley.
And Andy goes, hold it. And Andy goes, and she goes, well, yeah, Andy, if you're giving it to them good enough, they should fall asleep within a minute. And I'm thinking,
oh my God, that's hilarious.
Horrible, right? And then Giselle goes, or you just put it in your hand. And I'm just sitting there thinking, this is getting worse by the minute.
They all had their stories about it. That's amazing. Yeah, so I know all of them. Someone
It's
has
a
a
lot.
baby that's not from her husband.
Oh my God, Mia. But Robin, do you know about Robin and her husband that she is now married for a second time? He's a basketball coach. He got fired. There's all these allegations about him cheating.
Oh
But
yeah, he goes to hotels and pays
yes,
for the girl's room
yes,
because she doesn't have money.
yes. But now Robin is to the point where she just doesn't give a flying fuck about what anybody else thinks. Which, I mean, in one breath is kind of how you need to be in your life and in your relationships. You can't give a fuck about what everybody else thinks. But
But
in
she's
the
just
next breath,
she's letting him live his lives and whatever.
right, and whatever. Then there's Candace, who is, do you know Candace?
Oh,
She only hits high notes. She's too much.
oh,
She brought
yeah.
out her poster boards. She brought out poster boards at the reunion because she's all about just calling
Receipts.
all about the receipts. She is all about the receipts. She is heartbroken about what went down between her and Robin and Giselle, the two green-eyed bandits. She feels like they totally betrayed her and, came after her. But it was her. Do you remember that it was Giselle, beautiful Giselle, said that Candace's husband put her in an uncomfortable situation in a hotel room. Did you hear about that?
No.
They said that, yeah. So that was like it was.
Oh yes, I do. I
Yeah.
do.
And Candace that is what really divided their relationship, and Candace is not over it because she feels it really harmed her marriage and her
Well, it's her-
husband. And
yeah,
and I'm sure it did to some degree. You know what I mean?
right.
Because now
Of
people are looking
course,
at him like he's a predator.
he's a dirty pig. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's a dirty pig. And I don't think he is.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
are we doing a makeup touch-up?
I just need a little lip oil. Not for color. Mine's for moisture.
I'm into it. What about same with me? Everything I do is for moisture because I'm all, the Sahara over here.
50 years old.
What about Karen, the Grand Dame? Do you know Karen, the Grand Dame?
The one that just got a DUI that blamed
Yes,
it on.
yes.
Blamed it on.
Who
I
just
was talking
triple
about
20.
my mother.
What?
She says she was upset about Mother's Day
Because
coming
her
up.
mother
Mother's
who
Day's
died,
in 2 months.
yes. Who died like,
Yeah.
I don't know, 6 months ago or something.
Yeah,
But
of
she
course.
turned the triple 20 this year, which is 60, which is,
Her hair looked great. I did see a
her
picture
hair
of it.
looked great at the reunion, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought her
So
hair
good.
looked.
So good. Giselle goes off on the death threats that she's been getting because of Candace's fans. Candace's fans are pissed off at Giselle, so they've been
Oh,
giving her all of these death threats.
these fans, give them a break.
I know it's a lot.
It's wrong.
It is wrong. Yeah, let's see. Oh, but we did at the reunion, we did dial down and everybody made Giselle kind of parse her words. I think it was for the sake of Candace, just basically so she didn't lose her mind. And Giselle did say that Chris asked her to go in the room. He didn't force her to go in the room. And she had been peddling this narrative that he forced her to go in the room, but he didn't. And there's like evidence of that. And so that's basically what she said. He did just ask me to go in the room. He never, you know what I mean?
Well, that's good. That's big.
No, that's huge. That's huge. But apparently, I don't know, there's big rumors going around now that Candace has left the show, which
To do her singing career.
which, I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe that's a good move for her. Then she can't blame the other women for bringing her life down, right? Then it's all on you.
Right.
I mean, if you leave the show, who can you blame if things don't go right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so then Mia, so there's Mia and Gordon is her husband. That's who you're talking about. So then they cut to commercial break. They're in the dressing rooms and Mia is on FaceTime. Hey, oh, do I look good? You like these legs? Oh, my thighs.
High school boyfriend boyfriend.
To her high school boyfriend, who she's now in a relationship with. And now we find out that maybe is the father of her son,
How many kids does she
Jeremiah.
have? How many kids does she have?
I think 3.
And 2 are from Gordon?
I think she has an older one and then 2 younger ones. And I think at least one is from Gordon. The girl must be, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, but oh, wow.
Yeah. And so she's talking to, what's his name? Axe or
Axe or Ice?
Ice.
Some,
I don't know.
yeah.
Ike.
Look at knows nothing, knows things.
What the hell is his name? Do I have it on my notes? Ink.
Ink. Ink. It is ink.
Ink. So she's sitting there talking to Ink, and then Gordon comes up from behind and she goes, "Oh, there's Gordon." And he goes, "Hey, Gordon." He goes, "Hey, you doing, man?" And so apparently they're all buddy buddies now, which, I mean, really, maybe Ariana should take a page. What's the point of being pissed off? I mean, if that's the situation.
She was on Watch What Happens and she says they're co-parenting very well.
Well, I mean, that's good.
He was the audience in his sunglasses the whole time.
Ink.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, I saw that. Okay, now we are heading over to
the Hamptons.
The Hamptons, baby. I can't get enough of it. Truthfully, I love it.
I love it. It's my number one.
You know why I think we love it so much? Because it's fun. And I think everything else has gotten so dark. And this is fun.
Camp out. They do camp outs. They do fun things. And it's on the weekend.
They do theme nights.
Yes.
I mean, they jump in the pool. You know, they're having fun.
And the greatest additions, West and West. I love West.
I love West. He's the best thing to happen to this show in so long.
And you know that 2 judgy girls, their podcast, they do the hottest man of Bravo, and West was 2nd place.
Shut up. For good reason. I would have given him first, quite frankly.
Well, Craig beat him out. Craig
and his what do you call that? Auto mechanic in his mechanic costume.
Yeah.
Right. Paige was right. I have to fully agree with Paige. Craig's never looked better.
He looks amazing.
Right? Craig has never looked better.
Yeah, he's doing so good, little Craigie.
I'm telling you. So this was the episode where Kyle called out what's his name? Jesse for picking up on Paige in front of Craig.
Yeah.
But did Craig not handle it like the boss that he is? Like
yeah, beautiful girlfriend.
Unbothered.
Of course you're gonna pick up on her.
Of course. Have you seen my girlfriend?
Of course. And try it. What are you gonna do?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd be stupid not to.
Exactly. So yeah, and then Amanda gets pissed at Kyle for bringing it up. I don't think they're gonna last. I said it a few episodes, 2 podcasts ago. You asked me. I don't know. How much more can he take? She is a Debbie Downer. He's a party, but he's not gonna change.
Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel.
Did you see him? In his
costume? Great. They said he looked like he was hired to be up.
He did look like he was hired to be there 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, the way a kid can kind of change the dynamic. I feel like maybe, I don't know. I know it's tough. They're in a spot.
Sex to have a kid also, are they?
I feel like they might be having more sex than Lindsay and Carl, given what she said.
Everybody is.
I mean, truthfully, sex once every couple of weeks is fine at some point in your life, but I feel like maybe not before you're just about to get married.
Yeah, they have kids. They're still in their 30s.
I mean, it doesn't. Right? At that point in my life, it was more like at least once a day, not once every 2 weeks,
No. The
right?
one Carl didn't show up on Friday because he says that he wants to break the Friday night
Intentionally.
cycle.
Also, how insane is it that you're about to get married and you're having to take days off the calendar so that you guys don't like get too pressure cookery with each other?
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
if they don't fight, Kyle and Amanda are fighting, you know?
but I'm glad everybody has kind of stepped up. You saw in this episode Kyle talking to Lindsay, even like having the balls to talk to Lindsay. I mean, like, thank God. I think Paige, I love Paige. Something about Paige,
Right?
I really love her. The fact that she said, I feel like everyone needs someone to say to them just before they get married, you know, you don't have to do this. And I think it's important. I do think it's important because I think so many people just got caught up in the mindset and in the momentum, and they're not really tethered to even their own truth. They're
Well,
just
that's what Carl was kind of doing because he's
yeah,
sober and he wants to see this through. And I want to be married, and you know, and you're the one because you're the one right now.
right.
So, yeah, I think them breaking up was great. She can live, she can drink, she can do what she wants to
I
do,
mean,
live the Lindsay life.
thank God. I think they were both trying to make like the square
It
peg
worked.
get into the round hole, and it was just trying too hard.
Exactly.
It just stopped her little Carlito stopped feeling authentic. You know, anytime
Yeah.
there's that much effort, it just feels like it shouldn't be happening.
Carl needs to move somewhere else too. Why stay in New York? He's like, go
Carl
to
needs a full change of scenery.
San Francisco.
Why do you say San Francisco?
I don't know. It's a city. He's a city boy. Just, I don't know. I think, what are you saying? I don't know.
Do you think Kyle is
Is Kyle what?
not Kyle?
Gay?
Do you think Carl, not Kyle?
Oh, you're thinking I'm saying Carl may be gay. That's why he should move to San Francisco. No.
Do you
Were there
think
some
Carl is
were
gay?
there some talk about that before?
Well, Kyle admitted in season 1 that the best blowjob he ever had was from a guy.
Oh my God. Look what we just did.
Carl admitted season 1 that the best blowjob that he found himself in a threesome, and that the best blowjob he ever had was from a guy. And this is the first time I'm saying this, but I just feel innately like
My mouth has been wide open for a minute.
I don't think that you say that if you're not fluid.
Wow.
And not that being fluid makes you gay, but I'm just wondering if maybe I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not here to, you know, determine what his sexuality is, but I also do know that there are a lot of people who struggle with their own
Sexuality.
development when their sexuality is something that they're wrestling with.
Wow.
Maybe you know, maybe it is. I could see a woman saying that,
Of
like
course.
the best service I ever had was from a woman. I get it, but I also get that might could possibly mean something more. I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying it could.
Wow. Wow.
And when you said he should move to San Francisco, I was just wondering if you were tracking on the same.
No, I did not.
And when he also had that little mustache the other night, there was some look. There was a whole.
Dirty Sanchez.
Did you see that?
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Wow, Carl.
Just kind of getting in tune with a different part of himself, maybe.
Wow. We'll see.
So we will see. So now that let's see. Okay, are we done with Summer House?
Yeah, the rest we could just say is West and Sierra, the cutest little thing in the whole wide world.
The cutest little couple that I've ever seen.
And
in
you
my
know
whole
what?
life.
he was on a
Are you gonna
podcast.
tell? Oh, I can't wait to hear what you're gonna say.
Okay, so remember I said that
Yes, I know what you're gonna say.
okay, so he was just on a podcast, two judgy
Hold on.
girls.
If people haven't heard, remind them of what you said last time we were on. That you saw on your Instagram.
West was in Cabo with other girls and having fun. And Jen says, well, maybe it was his cousin's birthday. Maybe it was a friend's birthday.
Because I want to believe that they're still having a happily ever after.
So he wasn't on the podcast. One of the girls that's on Two Judgy Girls, she was in New York and he met her at a bar. She DM'd him because she's the one that's in charge of who's the handsomest on Bravo.
Oh,
so
right.
So we went to this bar and met her and her friend, and she asked him, she says, I saw your Instagram on Cabo. And he said, well, just watch the show, because Sierra is in some of his Instagram pictures, but she'll be in the side, or yeah. So he said, and she even said, and I went, oh, I'm a genius also. But he said, watch the
show. Oh, I love this.
Well, it's on tonight, so I'm very excited to watch.
I'm so excited. Literally, it's on in like an hour. I know. We'll have to touch bases after that. Okay, we are now transitioning to the personal development part of this pod.
Oh shit.
And since we have known each other since we were 7 years old, I would like you to tell me what you think the most important thing would be if you could tell your own 18-year-old self. I'm sorry, let's take it back from 18. Let's go to 15. If you could tell yourself something at 15 that you know now that you think would make your life easier,
God.
What would that be?
My what-year-old self?
15.
15 years old.
So go back to thinking the way you thought when you were 15, and you compare that to the you that you are now. What do you know now that you didn't know then that would make your life so much easier?
I think for back then, what my life would have been easier back then.
Or since then.
My first thought was, because now I don't worry about my weight. I worry about being healthy, but back then, my dad Mike used to tell me thunder thighs. He would tell me I had thunder thighs. I'm like, really? And when I look back at my body back then, why did I think I was fat back then? I would kill to have that body. Not now, but yeah, I think it would have had my weight was the first thing I thought of it. And I was never heavy. I was never
heavy. You were a skinny mini.
Never, right?
Skinny mini.
So I think that was I don't know. That was the first thing that came to my mind, but that wasn't a big thing.
So that was what prompted it. But what's the lesson?
Living comfortably in my body. I'm so comfortable in my body.
And how do you think you got from that point to this point?
Age, just learning, learning on what's important and being happy and
because did obsessing about what other people were thinking about you drive you to places that you didn't like?
I don't think I cared what other people thought ever. I don't think I ever cared about that. It was all
about what you thought.
It was all in my own.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now you have been able to just come to grips with that.
Oh yeah. I'm not the skinniest one at Cabo when we all lay out. It's fine that I got,
Oh, do you feel like that's self-acceptance? Yes. And your big lesson.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because do you ever remember a time when you were thinking thunder thighs and it affected the way you moved?
I think, or dressed. I never wore shorts ever. Always skirts, long skirts. I never wore shorts. I still don't. I live in sweats now.
Do you still subconsciously feel that way about your thighs?
Or
Because
leg,
like
the whole
pageant?
leg. Oh, and then my Aunt Jeanette told me 8th grade graduation, she's with me in my dressing room. I'm trying on dresses, and she says, "Oh, honey, you're built just like I am. The only thing you could do for those legs is shave them." But I mean, I'm never going to have skinny legs, but I don't care. I don't care now.
Yeah.
And if there is something you can do.
That's the beauty of age, is how truthfully you just stop caring because you realize how
It doesn't matter.
other people's thoughts do nothing but fuck up your life.
Right. And
what does it matter what someone else thinks about your thighs?
exactly. And you can change it. Besides just shaving them, you can fucking lift weights and do other shit.
Right. You can stop eating, carbohydrates from morning until night. You can, right? I mean, when you look back on when we were kids, that's just the way we ate.
Exactly.
That was the staple diet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So I mean, that was a thing, but that wasn't a big thing that
it's just another testament to the fact that all you're really saying is that your journey to loving your own body is it's transformational, right? I mean, that's the shit that transforms you, is coming to grips with who you are and loving that person. Because I say this all the time. Imagine being trapped in a body. Imagine just being trapped in a room with someone that you don't like. It's painful. Nobody likes to be in a room with someone they don't like. No one likes to be in a relationship with someone that they don't like, let alone a room, let alone a body. Imagine you're living in a body with someone that you don't like. And that is a horrible way to live your life. That's why you can change the relationship with you that you have with yourself. It's so incredible to be able to like yourself instead of loathing, yourself or the body that you live in. It's
exactly. And and you learn. My poor little 14-year-old or 8th grade. How old were we?
I
8th
know.
grade being told that. I didn't
Trying
have
to process that.
Huh?
Trying to process that.
Exactly. You don't know shit. And then you get older, you just learn.
Right. I know. Really changes the whole game.
Exactly.
It does. Anyway, everybody, that about wraps up this episode of Generally Speaking. I'm so glad that you were here with us today. Make sure you follow Christy on Instagram at, what is your handle, Chris? Tell them where they can find you. Christy May's Garage. All things gorgeous and succulent, just like my girl here. You can follow me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking, or on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. If you want to submit a question for the pod, or if you want to collaborate, you can reach me at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. All right, everybody, this has been great. Chris, I've loved spending this time with you. I love you so much. All right, everybody, until we are together again, stay rooted in love. Bye,
love
baby.
you so
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.